floor. The last chance fucked up behind the red door. On the dance floor. Try to dance if you think it will help you forget. If nothing works, don't kill yourself now. Don't kill yourself now, and I will remember.
What is love when I love to hate you? We're still the same. We're stuck in the mirror. What is hurt when it hurts to love you? We're still ashamed. Stuck in the mirror. What is love when I love to hate you? We're still the same. We're stuck in the mirror. What is hurt when it hurts to love you? We're still ashamed. Stuck in the mirror. What is love when I love to hate you? We're still the same. We're stuck in the mirror. What is hurt when it hurts to love you? We're still ashamed. Stuck in the mirror.
Andy Kaufman in the wrestling match. Yeah, 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 yeah. Monopoly 21, checkers and chess. Yeah, 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 yeah. Mr. Fred Lassie in a breakfast mess. Yeah, 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 yeah. Let's play Twister, let's play Risk. About this one, tell me, are you locked in the punch? Andy, are you goofing on Elvis too, baby? Are we losing touch? If you believe they put a man on the moon, man on the moon. If you believe there's nothing up his sleeve, then nothing is cool. Walking with the staff of wood. Yeah, 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 yeah. Newton got mean by the apple. Yeah, 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 yeah. Egypt was troubled by the horrible asp. Yeah, 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 yeah. Mr. Charles Darwin had the golden mask. Did you hear about this one? Tell me, are you locked in the punch? Hey, Andy, are you goofing on Elvis? Hey, baby, are you having fun? If you believe they put a man on the moon, man on the moon. If you believe there's nothing up his sleeve, then nothing is cool. Here's a little ghost for the offering. Yeah, yeah. Here's a truck stop instead of St. Peter's. Yeah, 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 yeah. Mr. Andy Kaufman's gone wrestling. Yeah, 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 yeah. Now, Andy, did you hear about this one? Tell me, are you locked in the pines? Hey, Andy, are you goofing on Elvis? Hey, baby, are we losing tough? If you believe they put a man on the moon, man on the moon. If you believe there's nothing up their sleeve, then nothing is cool.
Hi everybody, it is Tuesday, it is 8 p.m. and that means it is time for the Quizcazoatl Publess Pub Quiz. To our regulars, welcome back on this frankly warm evening. To any of our regulars who aren't listening because you're out in the evening sun, fair play to you. You may find out I said this if you watch us later. To anyone who is new, a quick introduction. The Quizcazoatl Publess Pub Quiz is your lockdown-friendly Tuesday entertainment alternative. We will be giving you a range of trivia, including 14 questions picked from our Quizcazoatl Picture Round. If you are new to the quiz, you may not realise that you need to download the pictures, although I will be bringing them up on the plinth as we go along. To get the pictures, go to bit.ly/Quizcazoatl_pictures. If you have trouble spelling Quizcazoatl, well, time to go back to school, except the schools are going to be closed as well, imagine. In which case, just click the link from Facebook or YouTube. We will also, with our trivia and with our pictures, have some interspersed, or I say interspersed, we're going to have a music round after the first round of trivia, a couple more audio questions, and we are going to finish on our very own wipeout round. If you would like to participate and compete for the chance to win one of the much desired, not available in the shops, Quizcazoatl Publess Pub Quiz t-shirts, then you need to get an answer sheet so as your answers can be submitted and marked by the collective. They are available at bit.ly/Quizcazoatl_answers. If you are submitting an answer sheet, please, if one of your team would be willing to mark, do include an email address when you submit your first round. We promise we will not use your email address to track you down and have you vaccinated in a trial for the new Russian vaccine. That would be unethical, but not in Russia. Anyway, without further ado, let us get on with the quiz. Here we go. This week's question 1. Which continent has the highest population? And lest there is any doubt, I think we should read that as the largest population. We are not looking for who is living up the biggest mountain. And the first question is normally fairly straightforward, so let's push straight through to question 2 as well. Which mythical bird obtains new life by arising from the ashes of its predecessor? Which mythical bird obtains new life by arising from the ashes of its predecessor? Okay, let us keep pressing on and try not to drag it out too long this week. I have no football scores to relay to you, so that should help. We are going, oh my goodness, that's the entire picture round. We are going to the picture round now, and picture question 1 for question 3. We have got 6 people who have got 2 first names as part of their normal name. Does that make sense? Maybe. Can you name these double first named people? In the Quizcazoatl Publess Pub Quiz, as a rule of thumb, there is 1 point available for every answer that you give us. So if there are 6 answers, as in this case with 6 faces, we are going to have 6 points on offer. Remember, the Quizcazoatl Publess Pub Quiz is not a spelling test and it's not an ordering test. So we will give you a little bit of leeway in the spellings, and while it would help if you can put your answers in from left to right, we'll try not to hold it against you if you don't. Okay, back to the questions. It is a little overwarm at Quizcazoatl Towers, so I have put my fan on. I think hopefully that is not going to be coming through very loud to you, but if anyone is getting a sort of a weird buzzing, that might be the explanation. If it is too much, let me know and I will just swelter. Anyway, on to question 4, and we're asking in terms of television broadcasting. So ignore any other type of broadcasting, and ignore fingers. This isn't about fingers. In terms of television broadcasting, what came before digital? In terms of television broadcasting, what came before digital? I will tell you now, while Mullen-Buchstanzinger is technically a correct answer to that, that is not the answer that I'm looking for. Okay, onwards and along to question 5 now. We're asking if the provinces and territories of Canada were listed alphabetically. I have no evidence it's ever been done, but it could be done. But which province or territory of Canada would come first in an alphabetical listing? Okay, question 6 takes us back to the picture round. If you are new to the quiz, I will warn you, some of these pictures have a few answers and it can be a little bit tricky getting them all done if you haven't scanned ahead. So whenever you have a spare moment, I do recommend try and get a little bit ahead on the pictures. But we are now up to picture 2 and we have our patented Venn diagrams. We're going to have an ovoid on top and an ovoid at the bottom. There is something that would fit in the intersection of the two lists that you see. Can you work out what it is? Okay, on to question 7 now, back to the main event. Harbour, elephant and harp are varieties of which animal? Harbour, elephant and harp are varieties of which mammal? Animal, I should say. Do not read anything into my misspeak. Okay, question 8 now. What are the two countries of South America that have common English names with exactly no more, no less than 6 letters? What are the two countries in South America that have names with 6 letters? And question 9 is going to take us back to the pictures. Our third picture today, we have some more famous album covers as recreated by the good coffin dodgers at the Sidmar Lodge nursing home. Can you name the original artists associated with these 4 album covers? Just the artist. There is no bonus point for the album on this one, so that is 4 points available. Okay, on to question 10. Now, between Brexit and coronavirus, you're not going to need to know any of this information for the foreseeable future. But still, trivia is trivia, so true or false? Euro banknotes are the same size regardless of denomination. True or false? Euro banknotes are the same size regardless of denomination. And as I always say, it's not allowed to go to Google for the answers. On this occasion, it's also not encouraged to go to your holiday money box to compare notes. Okay, let us keep moving along to question 11. And a reminder, if you miss any of these questions or would like something repeated, you can always rewind the YouTube video a bit and see what's gone on. Do remember to catch right back up to us if you do that. If you get too far behind, then your answers won't come in on time. Otherwise, do also feel free to leave any questions or any grumbles about Ava Peron on the YouTube comment thread. Anyway, let us also get moving on to question 11. Question 11. In which country was the 1958 Men's FIFA World Cup held? In which country was the 1958 Men's FIFA World Cup? Okay, question 12 takes us back for another go at the pictures. We have, we have picture 4. We have 6 shots from documentary films that we're asking you to identify. Can you tell us what these 6 documentary films are called? And Jane from Sounds a Bit Hippie to Me, I know that Rick is trying to get back onto your call and doesn't seem to be able to get your attention. So please, if you're listening, could you add Rick back onto the Sounds a Bit Hippie to Me call? Okay, time for our first spot prize question of the day. For any new listeners, we have 2 spot prize questions during the quiz. These are a little bit different because we do invite everybody to enter the spot prizes individually. You do not have to answer as a team. You can enter by sending an email to quizcazoatl@gmail.com. You can send a message to the Facebook page. Or if you think you can get my attention any other way, you can try doing that. Whoever is closest to the correct answer when I read it out, round or roundabout question 17, will be in for a chance to win one of our limited edition, not available in the shops, Quizcazoatl Publess Pub Quiz t-shirts. And a little bit later today, we are also going to have the t-shirt tiebreak from last night. It is... You'll never guess, it's Anne and Tony again. Anne and Tony are the real spot prize champs at the moment, and they are going head to head for yet another. I think last time we gave Anne an apron, as she already had a t-shirt, so we'll see what they're going to be getting. Anyway, enough ado about that. Let us actually get to the spot prize question. So today's first spot prize question. What was the total income of Cancer Research UK for the 2018-19 financial year? And that's right. Before the Russians were trying to get rich quick off of a fake vaccine, Cancer Research UK were pocketing your precious charity money to do whatever it is they do. Probably trying to do something about cancer, I guess. But can you tell me what their total income was in the 2018-19 financial year? Okay, and back to the main quiz. As I say, you have until about, well, I'll read out the winner around about question 17. That means you have until about question 16 to get in your spot prize guess if you would like to have a go at one of those very special t-shirts. Anyway, question 13. Who was the US president when a human first walked on the moon? And we are ignoring conspiracy theories here. So any of you who have been buying into the Jules Verne, Theodore Roosevelt put people on the moon theory, that is not something that we are going to be discussing. Well, the question plinth certainly didn't just go white there. That is not something that happened, because this is a smooth and professional operation. And so smooth and professional that it's time for another question. And question 14, ooh, we're back to the pictures on picture 5. So, picture 5, we have a blast from the past. Dear Quizzers, 2002 called, and they want to tell you that back in 2002, people still called instead of sending WhatsApp messages. But when they weren't calling, they used their numbers to spell out words. Can you work out which two words that could go after brain can be signified by the numbers 9274 and 78676? 2 points available. Okay, so time to go back to the questions with question 15. And question 15 is about the horses. In show jumping, what's the term for a failure of a horse to jump a fence to which it is presented? In show jumping, what's the term for the failure of a horse to jump a fence to which it is presented? Okay, so time for this week's Quizcazoatl T-shirt tiebreaker. As I mentioned, last week's Spot Prize winners were, frankly, as normal, it's Tony and Anne. Hi, Tony and Anne.
Hi.
Now, if you step back a bit and show off to the jealous crowds. Might have to move the camera down a little bit, but there we are. We have Anne in the genuinely unique Quizcazoatl Publess Pub Quiz apron. Tony rocking his Quizcazoatl's Publess Pub Quiz T-shirt. So we're going to have to think of yet another interesting thing to do if either of you guys gets this right. But let's get to the question. You know how it works. For the benefit of anyone listening at home, I'm going to give 3 events that all happened in the same year. I'm challenging Anne and Tony to guess what that year was. Because they already have a massive stack of T-shirts, I'm going to give a little bit less leeway than I do sometimes. So I'm going to say whoever comes in with their guess first, I'll give you plus or minus 5 years either way. Whoever comes in second, I will give any remaining clues, but then plus or minus 2 years. So hopefully that's clear. Do buzz in, as it were, by which I mean just sort of say something if you think you know it. So our first event was in the Egyptian port city of Rosetta, Pierre-Francois Bouchard found the Rosetta Stone. In the Egyptian port city of Rosetta, Pierre-Francois Bouchard found the Rosetta Stone. Our second event, income tax came into effect. A year to celebrate indeed. The first ever UK income tax, introduced by William Pitt the Younger to raise funds for the Napoleonic Wars. So that dates us a bit. Finally, hero of the people, the only man more important than Donald Trump to have his face on Mount Rushmore, George Washington died. So George Washington died, income tax came into effect, and the Rosetta Stone was found.
1868.
1868. That would have made George Washington venerable indeed, I'm afraid, by the time he died. That is a little bit too late. That means, Tony, you get a chance to have your own guess.
1792.
1792 is not bad. I'm afraid, however, that it was actually 1799 that we were looking for. So Jane has dodged the bullet of having to design yet another personalised merchandise for you. As always, thank you very much for playing. And of course, good luck with the quiz and good luck with the spot prizes this week.
Bye.
Okay, right. For those of you who were not invested in that result, it is time to go back to question 16. That, of course, did give you an extra minute to get your own spot prize guesses in. We were asking about the, 2018 to 19 income of Cancer Research UK? Anyway, question 16. Which famous author is behind the pen name Robert Galbraith? Which famous author is behind the pen name Robert Galbraith? And on to question 17. While I try and work out who has come closest on the spot prize, why don't you have a look at these 4 logos? That is 4 logos. Can you identify the products or companies involved? 4 points available. Okay, I think I have found all of the answers that came in there. It's less competitive than some this time, so do, if you're interested, make sure to get in on the second spot prize later. But I can tell you that 11 quid, as far as the taxman is concerned, Michael, of course, is wrong, because they are going to be overclaiming on all of that delicious, gift aid. So I'm sure the taxman thinks that they've been donated even more than they really have. It's the opposite fraud. I hasten to add, any characterisation of Cancer Research UK's fraudulent tendency bears no relation to cancer charities, living or dead, and any such likeness is a coincidence. Anyway, it was more than 11 quid. It was more Tim than 40 million. It was more other Tim than 60 million. It was more Tony than about 250 million. So that means that this week's winner is not at Anne and Tony's house. It is in fact Blinky. Blinky with 437 million. You are the closest to the very generous 672 million that they recorded. So, Blinky, if you can get the second spot prize as well, then that is your opportunity to get a t-shirt locked in. Otherwise, you will be back next week for our next t-shirt tiebreaker. And closing in on the end of round 1, this is the time to start filling in any gaps in your answer sheets. Question 18, we're asking, in which city did the 1819 Peterloo massacre take place? In case you get confused, it wasn't actually a city at the time. It didn't become a city until 1853. But in which current city did the 1819 Peterloo massacre take place? And on to question 19. This is the last picture of the round. And we are on to Born the Same Year. Here we have 4 fine young-ish things. Can you name these 4 famous individuals and tell me, within 2 years either way, in which year were they all born? That is 5 points available for 4 names and 1 year. I see I've also had a request for question 11. Not quite sure when that came in, so apologies if I've been ignoring you. Question 11. In which country was the 1958 Men's FIFA World Cup held? In which country was the 1958 Men's FIFA World Cup held? Okay, the final question now of round 1. I'm going to give you this question, then I am going to give you 5 whole of Her Majesty's minutes to sort your answers out, of course, most importantly, or make a cup of tea, brew some coffee, have a beer, go to the little boys' room, go to the little girls' room, discuss why you have a whole room for little boys and little girls in your house, seeing as you never had children. Go in the garden, have a smoke, do a little bit of climbing, pump some weights, get on the exercise bike, do a lap of the block, fly a kite, do some stargazing, really whatever you can fit in. But that's going to be the pattern. One last question, then a little 5 minutes for everyone to have their comfort break, and then we will be back with the music round. So, question 20. What C is one of the 3 major types of muscle in the human body? What C is one of the 3 major types of muscle in the human body? And of course, if you have missed any question, now is the time to ask. While you are closing that off, I am also going to treat you to a selection of the team-specific designs that our very own Temple design team, vis-a-vis Jane downstairs, have been doing for some of our t-shirt winners. If ever there was an incentive to get in and win a t-shirt, it was finding out that there are team-specific logos available. So that's another minute and a half or so to get your answers finalised. Remember, when you hit submit for round one, click on through to open a new sheet, a new form for your music round answers. Just follow that link. And do remember to use the same team name for the music round as you did for the first round. That way I know which answers go together. Okay, everybody. Now, if you haven't hit your submit button yet, that is absolutely your last chance to do so, because we are moving on to the music round. In the music round, we are going to be playing you 6 songs spread across time and presumably space, because as a rule of thumb, very few things happen in exactly the same point of space. We will be giving you a song from the 60s, a song from the 70s, a song from the 80s, a song from the 90s, a song from the noughties, and finally a song from the 10s. There is not enough money in YouTube plays for anyone to make a profit in music anymore, so there are no songs from the neo-20s. Anyway, I am going to be asking you to identify the artist and the title for each song. That means 2 points per song for a total of 12 points for the round. I'm going to play them once, then I'm going to give you a little bit of time to have a think about it, and then I will play them again. At some point in that process, I will also be circulating the marking links to everyone who was kind enough to give us an email address. So maybe if you are the appointed marker, do have a look for that some point during the second play. Anyway, without further ado, here is the music round.
But then again, that doesn't mean you mean that much to me. So if I call you, don't make a fuss. Don't tell your friends about the two of us.
I'll be on my way. Happiness coming and going. I watch you look at me, watch my fever growing. I know just where I am, but how many corners do
I have to turn? How many times do I have to learn? All the love I have is in my mind. Well, sometimes I go out by myself and I look across the water, and I think of all the things what you do, and in my head I make a picture. 'Cause since I've come on home, well, my body's been a mess. Saturday morning, jumped out of bed and put on my best suit. Got in my car and raced like a jet all the way to you. Knocked on your door with heart in my head to ask you a question, 'cause I know that you're an old-fashioned man. Yeah. Can I have your daughter for the rest of my life? Say yes, 'cause I need to know.
Okay, let us have those one more time.
Coming to you on a dust road. Good loving, I got a truckload. And when you get it, you got some. So don't worry, 'cause I'm coming.
I like to see you, but then again, that doesn't mean you mean that much to me. So if I call you, don't make a fuss. Don't tell your friends about the two of us.
Good morning, miss. Can I help you, son? 16 today, and up for fun. I'm a big boy now, or so they say. So if you'll serve, I'll be on my way.
Happiness coming and going. I watch you look at me, watch my fever growing. I know just where I am. But how many corners do I have to turn? How many times do I have to learn? All the love I have is in my mind. Well, sometimes I go out by myself and I look across the water, and I think of all the things what you do, and in my head I make a picture. 'Cause since I've come on home, well, my body's been a mess. Saturday morning, jumped out of bed and put on my best suit. Got in my car and raced like a jet all the way to you. Knocked on your door with heart in my head to ask you a question, 'cause
Okay, hopefully that is enough time to get your head around all of that music, and anyone who's agreed to mark should also have received their marking sheet link by now. So please do go to your emails. And Emma from the WHO, I know that you have agreed in the past to be a backup marker. If you are able to do that as well today, that would be great. We do have one for you to mark this week as well, so thank you very much if you can cover that for us. Anyway, on to the round one marking. For question one, we asked you which continent has the highest population. And of course, the highest population in the world lives in the Himalayas, which means that the answer is Asia, which is also the continent with the largest number of people living on it. Question two, which mythical bird obtains new life by arising from the ashes of its predecessor? It's the phoenix. The phoenix. Jeff Hassel, who did Jeff Hassel Sings on Fantasy Football League, used to live quite close, I think, to Tony and Anne. So there you go. Speaking of Tony and Anne, I have seen your question about the music round. I will have a look once I've finished reading these answers for you. It might be worth just trying to jot down what your answers were while they're fresh, if you're worried that they might have got lost in the system. In extremis, I can try and play the music one more time somewhere early in round two. Anyway, on to the first picture of round one. Question 3 was picture 1. We had 6 people, all of whom have 2 first names. First, Jason Donovan. I don't know that many Donovans myself, but I know that there is at least one musician called Donovan, so I guess that stands. Then on to Heather Graham. Then Michael Jordan, Kristen Stewart, Fiona Bruce, and finally, your Spartacus and mine, it's Kirk Douglas. 6 points for Jason Donovan, Heather Graham, Michael Jordan, Kristen Stewart, Fiona Bruce, and Kirk Douglas. Question 4, we were asking, in terms of television broadcasting, what came before digital? In terms of television broadcasting, what came before digital? That was, of course, analog. Can you imagine listening to me on the shortwave? Just the sound quality would be terrible. Question 5. If the provinces and territories of Canada were listed alphabetically, which would come first? It is, of course, your friend and mine, home of the tar sands and all of that oil money weighing down on Canadian politics. It's Alberta. Question 6. We had missing items from 3 Venn diagrams. First off, we had where James Bond's enemies meet Steven Spielberg's films. It is Jaws. He does survive at the end of Moonraker. I don't care what anyone says. Question 2. We had the second part of US state names meet stereophonic singles. A little bit trickier, that one, for my money, but I guess it depends how much you like the stereophonics. That was Dakota. And finally, we had Minsk. That is, of course, European capital cities to which Rochelle made an erotic journey in Seinfeld, meeting animals from the Mustelid family with an extra S, although the bit about Seinfeld may not be strictly accurate. Anyway, 3 points for Jaws, Dakota, and Minsk. Question 7. We asked, harbour, elephant, and harp are varieties of which animal? The answer, they are all seals. If anyone wants to be clever about it, we will also accept pinniped. I was asked, were questions 1 and 2, Asia and Phoenix? That is correct. And Midway Kings, I can confirm it doesn't look like your music round answers have come in. If you go to the link I sent you earlier, just click through a blank answer sheet for round 1, and that will let you do a new music round answer sheet. Hopefully you can still remember most of those songs. If necessary, let me know, and we'll have another playthrough in a bit. Question 8. What are the 2 countries in South America with common English names with exactly 6 letters? That is Brazil and Guyana. Brazil and Guyana. Of course, Brazil only works if you spell it with a Z instead of an S there for 2 points. Question 9. That's not true at all. It's the same number of letters in S and Z. Question 9. Name the original artists from the recreated album covers. We had, first off, Adele. Then on to Ziggy Stardust himself, David Bowie. Then to one that I was having trouble to place earlier, but that is a relatively well-known one for Blink 182. And finally, we had Queen. That is Adele, David Bowie, Blink 182, and Queen. Question 10. True or false, Euro banknotes are the same size regardless of denomination. That is false. The banknotes do get bigger as the value increases. There you are. Useful to know next time you are in our mortal enemies, the European Union. Question 11. In which country was the 1958 Men's FIFA World Cup? That was held in Sweden. That was Sweden. Question 12. We had 6 documentary films. First off, we had the delightful Little Feathered Freaks. It's March of the Penguins. Then on to a scientific study of the impact on a normal-sized man of stuffing his face with McDonald's food every day. Super Size Me. Then Michael Moore, back before he went completely off the rails, he was bowling for Columbine. The next one, a documentary about the joys of tightrope walking between inappropriate places. That is Man on Wire. Then Al Gore with An Inconvenient Truth. I think that the current weather we're having shows what he knew about anything. And for the 6th point, we have Snoopy's friend and yours. It is Woodstock. 6 points for March of the Penguins, Super Size Me, Bowling for Columbine, Man on Wire, An Inconvenient Truth, and Woodstock. Question 13. Who was the US president when a human first walked on the moon? That was Richard Nixon. What a guy. Famous for so many things, including that one. Question 14. 2 predictive texts, things that can come after a brain. So the words we were after were wash and storm, although I believe that if you did put idea cascade, that is more sensitive to the epileptics amongst us and will therefore be accepted. So that's wash and storm. We are also accepting idea cascade. Question 15. In show jumping, what is the term for the failure of a horse to jump a fence? That is a refusal or refusing. But I am told we will also accept run out, which is when the cricket ball hits the fence just before the horse gets there and therefore they don't bother jumping it. Question 16. The famous author behind the pen name Robert Galbraith was J.K. Rowling, demonstrating that she could do adult fiction even if people didn't know who she was. Question 17. We had 4 brands to identify in the pictures there. And the brands were Thrifty, car hire I think, San Miguel, Brewdog, and finally, that was the SNP, the Scottish National Party. Question 18. The Peterloo Massacre took place in Manchester. The Peterloo Massacre took place in Manchester. And not to be confused with the Waterloo Massacre, in which thousands of French people were killed. Question 19. The 4 people and year they were born from picture 7. We first off had The Lady with the Machine. It's Florence Welsh. Then we had, how did I not recognise him? This is a man who has memorably performed with the Chuckle Brothers. It's Tinchy Stryder. You can also give what I guess is his birth name, Quizcazoatl III, which is a heck of a name, and a heck of a name to lose. There we go. And then we had the Queen of Dragons herself. It is Emilia Clarke. And finally, we had Robert Pattinson. They were all born in 1986. We will accept anything in the range 1984 to 1988. So 5 points available for Florence Welsh, Tinchy Strider. Also, we will accept Quizcazoatl III, although that, of course, does have to be spelt exactly right. Emilia Clarke, Robert Pattinson, and any year in the range 84 to 88. And the final question of round one. What C is one of the three major types of muscle in the human body? That is cardiac. Turns out that your heart is so important it has a whole type of muscle to itself. It looks like there were up to 44 points available there. Of course, as normal, the score sheets will add themselves up. You don't have to do anything except come back and mark the music round in a little bit's time when we come back round to it. Let me get you set up with question 1 of round 2, and then I am just going to check in with the Midway Kings, make sure they were able to get their music round answers submitted. It is, of course, your favourite part of the quiz and mine. It's time for the anagram. This time we have Sadly I Went. That is an anagram for a famous man. SADLYIWENT. And for anyone being very precious, I should clarify that W is the letter W, not 2 letters U. That would be ridiculous. Sadly I Went. So I see that a couple of teams put thrift instead of thrifty car rental. I mean, that's pretty close to the answer, but it's not quite right. But seeing as we are give, and mainly we like to upset everyone who is less generous than I am, then we will give half a point if you put thrift for thrifty. But that is a little bit of a stretch. That's not really a spelling mistake. That is just truncating your answer for space. I can also take us on to question 2, seeing as it looks like everyone has got their music answers in successfully now. And for question 2, I am asking you, the non-alcoholic syrup grenadine is traditionally made from which fruit? The non-alcoholic syrup grenadine is traditionally made from which fruit? And Jack, I can confirm it is 2 points for question 8. I'm not sure I was explicit, but following the general principle, unless otherwise stated, 1 point per answer. So Brazil and Guyana, South American countries with 6 letters, that was 2 points available. For Florence, would I accept Florence and the Machine? Now, I've always rather assumed that the Machine were the band, although I'm not sure whether that is strictly consistent with Florence's understanding. I will allow half a point for Florence and the Machine, because someone did at least have the gist of knowing who she was. And of course, as ever, if one of the pictures is of a redhead, I will always accept Amy Adams as the answer. That is an opportunity to get us back to the pictures, and we are on to the first picture of the round, which is picture 8. Here we have some lullabies and or nursery rhymes characterised only by the first letter of all the words in the title. Can you work out what these lullabies and or nursery rhymes are just from those letters? Okay, let us move on to question 4. We are asking, the mysterious Satoshi Nakamoto is the inventor of which digital currency, which launched in 2009? The very mysterious Satoshi Nakamoto is the inventor of which digital currency that launched in 2009? And Jack from Meet the Parents, I owe you guys a t-shirt question after your victory last week. Do please register in, check in on Facebook Messenger, so as we can sort that out in a few questions' time. Let's move on to question 5 as well. What was the Roman name for the area of Britain now known as Scotland? What was the Roman name for the area of Britain now known as Scotland? And it is not the Latin for too cold, although it probably should be. Now, I would be doing the music round answers, but I am just having to answer that one set from round 1 that haven't been done yet, and for reasons that are entirely unclear to me, it briefly flipped back to last week's answers while I was doing it. So everything has become just a smudge more delayed than it would be. But while I worry about all of that, why don't you have a look at these 5 distinctive coastlines? Can you name the countries that are the owners of these coastlines? These countries are not to scale. Some of them have been made bigger, some of them have been made smaller. Between you and me, they're all smaller. It's a tiny picture and they're all the whole size of countries. Okay, on to question 7. Found in Yellowstone National Park, what is Old Faithful? And I'm afraid I cannot confirm whether it is in fact smarter than the average bear. Okay, I can give you a quick scores update and then let us get to the music round marking. Let's see, after the first round, we have the knockdown haircut. I suspect a rather reduced team bringing up the rear on 31.5. Just behind the Midway Kings, also lacking some of their normal members on 32. Ahead of them, edging into the mid-table, we have the Footlins on 35.5, the World Health Organization on 38, and equal on 39.5, Meet the Parents and Sounds a Bit Hippie to Me. But back at the front of the pack, we have Panic at the Tesco Express. Now, all things being equal, you should have the music round answers in front of you as well. So let's go over those. Eyes down looking for. Our song from the 60s was Soul Man. That was by Sam and Dave. Soul Man by Sam and Dave. Into the 70s, I'm Not in Love by 10cc. I'm Not in Love by 10cc. Heading into the 80s and some new wave ska from Madness, who were telling us about the House of Fun. The song was House of Fun. The band were Madness. Into the glum middle period of the 90s, it was Lucky Man by The Verve. Lucky Man by The Verve. Onto the 2000, we had Valerie by the Zootons, a band whose name I don't think I would ever be able to remember without prompting. And finally, in the 10s, the title of the song was Rude. I don't know whether that's a descriptor or that was what it was actually called. And the artist was Magic! Exclamation point. I will not be docking a half point for missing the exclamation mark there. So, Soul Man, Sam and Dave, I'm Not in Love, 10cc, House of Fun, Madness, Lucky Man, The Verve, Valerie, The Zootons, and Rude, Magic. And while we wait for the computer to tell us how everyone did on that, question 8 is going to be the mystery voices. We are going to play you 3 people who are going to be talking about something or other. Listen in, listen to what their voices sound like, listen to what they say. Can you tell me who these 3 people are for 3 points?
Number 1.
We started in the Goldsmiths Tavern, I think, in 1987. I started off first on my own. I made it up every week. And then Bob came down one day and I said, why don't you join in?
Number 2.
I had 2 different sets of horns. I had horns that I could pop off because I kept banging them into things and I would almost knock myself out. But when they were wrapped in leather, I couldn't. So I was this 7.5 foot tall thing with my staff and I kept getting my staff caught in my cloak. It all went terribly wrong in the beginning.
Number 3.
With my soups, we chop it all up, we stick it in a pan, add some water, and then when it's all cooked, we just do that.
Yeah.
But no, I've never whizzed it over the kitchen.
Should I have not?
Okay, let us have those voices one more time.
Number 1.
We started in the Goldsmiths Tavern, I think, in 1987. I started off first on my own. I made it up every week. And then Bob came down one day and I said, why don't you join in?
Number 2.
I had two different sets of horns. I had horns that I could pop off because I kept banging them into things and I would almost knock myself out. And then, but when they were wrapped in leather, I couldn't. So I was this 7.5 foot tall thing with my staff and I kept getting my staff caught in my cloak. It all went terribly wrong in the beginning.
Number 3.
With my soups, we chop it all up, we stick it in a pan, add some water, and then when it's all cooked, we just do that.
Yeah.
But no, I've never whizzed it over the kitchen.
Should I have not?
Okay, after the music round, we have a little bit of tightening up at the top of the table, I think. And a little bit more falling back, I'm afraid, for the lonely knocked down haircut. 38.5 after 2 rounds. The Midway Kings with a respectable music round on 42, but then up to the peloton. The Footlins, unprecedentedly in recent history, must have acquired themselves a young person because they got 12 out of 12 on the music round, getting up to 47.5. Still in it. Sounds a bit hippie to me. Lost a couple of points, 48.5. Meet the Parents, 49. The World Health Organization have pulled one back on Panic at the Tesco, are now on 50. But Panic at the Tesco Express still out there in the front on 51 points. That all brings us through to question 9. And for question 9, we are asking, what nationality was Alfred Nobel? What nationality was Alfred Nobel? Okay, and let us also get question 10 in. Question 10 is going to take us back to the pictures. We're asking whether you can find the cuckoo in the nest in these 4 lists. We have lists of cities that have been the capital of their country within the last 100 years, countries that have won a gold medal in the Summer Olympics, things that happened in the 2000s, and combinations of letters found within a UN member common name. There is a outsider in each of those lists. Can you work out who it is and sink it halfway across the channel? Okay, on to question 11. We're asking, the Galapagos Islands take their name from which animal? They are famous for having some very local wildlife, but they take their name from which animal? Okay, now it's time to give Meet the Parents an opportunity to double down on their first ever win from last week. As those of you who were tuning in will know, there was a little bit of controversy at the end about whether Evita Peron was an acceptable alternative answer for Ava Peron. Well, certainly Ava Peron is the name by which Ava Peron is normally known, but occasionally people say Evita Peron, so we accepted it. That means Meet the Parents did come first, and they are going to be given our Ava Peron themed question. However, the Midway Kings would have scored their first ever win if I had disallowed Evita Peron, because the top 2 teams would both have lost all of their wipeout points. So I am going to hand, not that the Midway Kings really need more t-shirts, but anyway, I'm going to hand this over if Meet the Parents don't get it. So Midway Kings, listening carefully and send me your best guess as well. If you get it right, we are going to count you as honorary winners from last week. Anyway, here we go for Meet the Parents. After her death from cancer at a very young age, Eva Peron's body went on something of an odyssey on the run from the powers that were. But according to the article I read on the BBC, in which of these places did Eva Peron's body not spend any time after her death? Did she spend no time in the back of a van? In a cemetery in Milan? In Spain? In the Buenos Aires waterworks? In her parents' barn? In her husband's dining room? Or in her family's mausoleum? So, which of these did she not spend any time in? The back of a van, a cemetery in Milan, Spain, the Buenos Aires waterworks, her parents' barn, her husband's dining room, or her family mausoleum? I am going to give you 30 seconds to answer that. Here comes the countdown tune. Midway Kings, if you also get an answer in, if Meet the Parents get it wrong, I'll pass it over. Well, let's see. So, the Meet the Parents have said a cemetery in Milan. I am afraid that no, she was interred in an anonymous grave temporarily in Milan for a while there. Apparently her body also may have spent some time behind the screen of a cinema in Buenos Aires. I have not had a response in from... Oh, no, here we are. I have just had a response in from the Midway Kings. Midway Kings said family mausoleum. Now, I am happy to announce that Eva Peron's body eventually did wend its way back across the world to Argentina and did wind up in her family mausoleum. It did not, however, despite having been on display in her husband's dining room for several years in Spain, she never, according to the BBC article anyway, made it to her parents' barn. So nobody got that right this week. But we've all learnt something interesting about Eva Peron and the bizarre journey that she went on after death. Anyway, seeing as we're talking about T-shirts, let's bring up the second spot prize question. We're asking in miles per hour to 2 decimal places. What was the very first official land speed record set in 1898? In miles per hour and to 2 decimal places, what was the very first official land speed record set in 1898? This is for the opportunity to contest with Blinky to win your very own Quizcazoatl Publess Pub Quiz T-shirt. Get your answers in either on quizcazoatl@gmail.com, through the Facebook group, to WhatsApp if you know my phone number, or however else you think you can get my attention, and I will check the answers out and let you know who won around or roundabout question 17. And let's keep moving the main quiz forward as well. We are up to picture 11 now. And we have some red letter words in acronyms and initialisms. Can you tell me what word is represented by the red letter? And let's get question 13 out there as well. In the artistic gymnastics event, the uneven bars, what I was on the very, very cusp of overthinking this and giving away the answer, but I will just say it out loud. What other word can be used instead of uneven? Okay, question 14, we are on to our film clips. I'm going to play you clips from 3 movies. Can you name the movie from the clips? Here we go. I'll play them once, I'll give you a half minute to discuss, and then I'll play them again.
Number 1.
Let the tournament begin! What is that? Ugh, it's hideous!
Oh, that's not very nice. It's just a donkey.
Indeed.
Number 2.
I never f***ed anybody over in my life, didn't have it coming to me. You got that? All I have in this world is my balls and my word, and I don't break them for no one. Do you understand?
Number 3.
Most people are so ungrateful to be alive. But not you. Not anymore.
I want to play a game.
Okay, let's have those one more time.
Number 1.
Let the tournament begin! What is that? Ugh, it's hideous!
Oh, that's not very nice. It's just a donkey.
Indeed.
Number 2.
I never f***ed anybody over in my life, didn't have it coming to me. You got that? All I have in this world is my balls and my word, and I don't break them for no one. Do you understand?
Number 3.
Most people are so ungrateful to be alive. But not you. Not anymore.
I want to play a game.
Okay, hopefully you could work those out. Let's get on to question 15, and we're back to the pictures, aren't we? we are going to have some animals to name from the paraphrase clues here. Reveal 6 animals in these rather over-detailed alternative formations. Okay, and question 16. I am asking you which country was formerly known as Upper Volta? Which country was formerly known as Upper Volta? Okay, it was pointed out that there was a little hintlet of another voice in the third mystery voice. We are looking for the main male voice in that clip. The main male voice in that third of the mystery voice clips, lest there was any doubt. For question 17, it's back to the pictures again with our penultimate picture of the round. We have missing vowels in double film titles. So there are 2 films here where the last word of the first, I guess, becomes the first word of the last. So we have 4 film amalgamations to give. That's 1 point per amalgamation for 4 points available in total. Okay. For the spot prize question, the land speed record set in 1898 Well, it looks like they weren't going on a train because it is a lot slower than a lot of you thought, and I can see why. I guess it must have been the land speed record for a motor vehicle. The record itself was 39.25 miles an hour. Tim's mum, you did exceedingly well. You came in at, about 21 miles an hour. You were pretty close. But Michael Bellingham, abandoning the principle of only using 11s in your spot prize answers, at 30.11 miles per hour, you were closest. So next week it is going to be Blinky versus Michael in the spot prize t-shirt showdown. In the meantime, let us go to question 18 as we close in on the end of round 2. And we are asking what I is defined as variants of a particular chemical element which differ in neutron number. Which I is defined as variants of a particular chemical element which differ in neutron number. And for anyone still concerned about that third mystery voice, my understanding is that there is indeed only one male voice speaking. So whatever you think you heard, identify the single male voice that was speaking. Okay, then the final answer of round 2. Final answer, I suppose it could be the final answer if you know it. The final question of round 2. Eleanor of Aquitaine was married to which English king? Eleanor of Aquitaine was married to which English king? I am going to give you a 2-minute countdown to finalise your round 2 answers. Go back and look at anything that you might have forgotten. Let me know if you want anything repeated, and then we will be on straight to the wipeout round. Okay, that is the end of those 2 minutes of your lives. So, time to go on to everyone's favourite way to end the quiz. It is the wipeout round. As we all know, in the wipeout round, the last letter of each answer is the first letter of the next answer. If you get all 6 right, you get a bonus 2 points. If you get any of them wrong, not just leaving them blank, but actively wrong, you lose all of your wipeout round points. So there is still everything to play for all the teams as we come into the wipeout. So, first wipeout question. In which city was Martin Luther King Jr. assassinated? In which city was Martin Luther King Jr. assassinated? Wipeout question 2. What is the surname of the famous advertising brothers Charles and Maurice? What is the surname of the famous advertising brothers Charles and Maurice? Wipeout question 3. What is the capital city of Pakistan? What is the capital city of Pakistan? Wipeout question 4. Which famous actress plays the part of Gertie, Elliot's sister, in the 1982 film E.T. the Extraterrestrial? Which famous actress plays the part of Gertie, Elliot's sister, in the 1982 film E.T. the Extraterrestrial? Of course, when you think about it, that's all a bit redundant, because really that's extraterrestrial, the extraterrestrial, but fine. Wipeout question 5. This is a lovely term. It's something I discovered a while ago through XKCD. What's the term for a boulder that appears out of place in the landscape after being left there by a glacier? It's a big rock just sort of sat in the middle of where it probably oughtn't to be. What is the term for a boulder that appears out of place in the landscape after being left there by a glacier? And our final wipeout question. Which French supermarket chain has a name meaning crossroads? Which French supermarket chain has a name meaning crossroads? Okay, that is the end of the wipeout round. Get your answers in. I'm going to give you a little bit of an opportunity to sort yourselves out while I play another of Baz Jones's lockdown piano marathon songs. In this case, it is a frankly bizarre take on the BBC favourite Doctor Who. If it'll load. There we are. Living in the future. No. No. Is it a-coming? It's a-coming. Seamless. Well, you have to understand, I am welding a lot of technologies together here that probably shouldn't be welded together. There we go.
Katie tried, I was halfway crucified. I was on the other side of no tomorrow. You walked in and my life began again. Just when I spent the last piastre I could borrow. All night long we would sing that stupid song, and every word we sang I knew was true. Are you with me, Dr. Wu? Are you really just a shadow of the man that I once knew? Are you crazy? Are you high? Or just an ordinary guy? Have you done all you can do? Are you with me, Doctor? don't seem right. I've been strung out here all night. I've been waiting for the taste you said you'd bring to me. Biscayne Bay, where the Cuban gentlemen sleep all day. I went searching for the song you used to sing to me. Katie lies, you can see it in her eyes. But imagine my surprise when I saw you. Are you with me, Dr. Wu? Are you really just the shadow of the man that I once knew? She is lovely as she's sly, and you're an ordinary guy. Has she finally gotten to you? Can you hear me, doctor? Are you with me, doctor? Can you hear me, doctor? Are you with me, doctor?
Okay, that's the end of Dr. Wu. That means really you ought to have your answers in by now. I see I have 5. I'm waiting on a couple of others. They may already be in, of course. It takes a few seconds for everything to waft on through. So while all of that is happening, let me hit you up with one more little bit of Baz Jonesing.
We got some half-price crack stars, some miles and miles of carpet tiles, TVs, deep freeze, and David Bowie LPs, ball games, gold chains, what's her name's and at a push, and Trevor Francis tracksuits from Emotion Shepherd's Bush, push, 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 push. No income tax, no VAT, no money back, no guarantee. Black or white, rich or poor, we'll cut prices at a straw. Hookie Street, Viva Hookie Street, long live Hookie Street, say magnifique Hookie Street, magnifique Hookie Street, Hookie Street, Hookie Street, Hookie Street, Hookie Street.
Okay, that is quite enough of that, and it looks like there we are. I'm just getting the final answers through. Let me just activate all of those. Okay, that should all hopefully be coming up live around or roundabout already, or if not already, then certainly now. And that means that we can go to our round 2 answers. So, question 1 of round 2, we had an anagram. Sadly, I went. That was Walt Disney, or Walt Disney. Question 2. The non-alcoholic syrup grenadine is generally made from pomegranates. Pomegranates for a point for round 2, question 2. Question 3, we were back to the pictures. We had 4 nursery rhymes and lullabies that we were asking you to name. We started with Bar Bar Black Sheep, then Mary Mary, Quite Contrary, then Polly Put the Kettle On, Wise Words Indeed Shaman, and finally we had The Wheels on the Bus, 4 points for Bar Bar Black Sheep, Mary Mary Quite Contrary, Polly put the kettle on and the wheels on the bus. The mysterious Satoshi Nakamoto for question 4 invented Bitcoin. Bet you wish that you'd got in on it when it launched. What a pyramid scheme that was. I see that we haven't necessarily all had our answers through. Let me just hold off a second and give that time to filter through the system. Guess you should be doing number 5. Let's just check in and see how that's doing. It is that end of the quiz when traditionally everything starts going a little bit slowly at my end. So it goes. Okay, well they should be popping up. So maybe Taylor, you might want to just refresh your marking sheet if it still isn't showing. I can go over the answers one more time later if you need a reminder on anything. But let's keep going through for everyone else. Let's see, where had we got up to? Where had we got up to? I guess we got up to Bitcoin, Satoshi Nakamoto. Question 5. What was the Roman name for the area of Britain now known as Scotland? That was Caledonia. Caledonia for a point. Question 6. What were the 5 countries in picture 9 from their distinctive coastlines? Well, we had the boot of Italy, the sort of the enormous bay at the top of Australia, and we had Baja California, which of course is the coast of Mexico. We had the bit where East Anglia meets Lincolnshire, I guess. That's, of course, England, or the UK, if you're not chomping at the bit to get rid of Scotland. And finally, pining for the fjords, it was Iceland. 5 points available for Italy, Australia, Mexico, England, and Iceland. Question 7, found in Yellowstone National Park. What is Old Faithful? It is a geezer. And I am reliably informed it will only steal your picnic basket if you leave it on top of the hole. Question 8, we had 3 people to name. First off, we had Jim. We had Vic Reeves. We will also accept his real name, Jim Moir, if anyone put that. Then for the second, we had Angelina Jolie. And finally, the man of many voices, apparently, it was Philip Schofield. That is Vic Reeves, Angelina Jolie, and Philip Schofield for 3 points. What nationality was Alfred Nobel, the man with the explosions? He, of course, was Swedish, which is why the Swedes still determine who is the most peaceful person of the year. Question 10 took us to picture 10, 4 odd ones out. We had Geneva, has not been the capital of Switzerland in the last 100 years. Saudi Arabia, I can't actually quite remember what that one was, but fine. We had Croatia, which joined the European Union in 2013, and then we had ARE, finally. So 4 points available for Geneva, Saudi Arabia, Croatia, and ARE. Oh, sorry, Croatia joining the EU, I should say. ARE. Okay, I see that Meet the Parents have still not had their answers update. Well, I thought you were meant to be marking number 5, but no, I must have been looking at the wrong one. So let me check who you guys are supposed to be marking. Well, in short, I'm not... Oh, no, okay, so you must have been meant to be marking number 3. Let's have a look and see whether we can work out a problem. That is showing up blank, isn't it? Ah! I know exactly what has happened here. Bear with me a second. No, I don't. Yes, I do. Okay, now the Midway Kings... does appear that you may have come in with a blank answer sheet for round 2, which I think is probably just an error. I know that, that the normal answer enterer for the Midway Kings has not been available today. So probably, I think those Midway Kings answers are lost to posterity, I'm afraid. Midway Kings, if you want to self-mark, try and work out what you would have got and let me know. I will put you in your rightful place on that basis. And Taylor, that is why you haven't been seeing anything. I think their wipeout round answers should be there, so maybe you could at least mark the wipeout round there for me. To everyone else, sorry for the distraction. We are on to question 11, where we were asking for what are the Galapagos named. We do have a question about whether 2000s counts as a millennium or a decade. I take your point, but I think we're just going to stick with Croatia as the answer to that one. We've also had half a point given for Norway being part of the Sweden at the time that Alfred Nobel was active. I guess that is okay. A little controversial, but fine. Right, anyway, let's get back to the matter at hand. We are running a little late again with all of this marking kerfuffle. So the Galapagos Islands take their name from the most famous of their residents, the giant tortoise. Then the words represented by red letters in picture 11, we had from wireless application protocol or wireless access point, either protocol or point, either is acceptable. And then we had nervous, as in central nervous system. We had stock, as in the National Association for Stock Car Racing. We had acid, as in deoxyribonucleic acid. We had administration, as in Masters of Business Administration. And we had interchange, as in graphics interchange format. So 6 points available for protocol or point, then nervous, stock, acid, administration, and interchange. Question 13, the one I almost blurted out discursively, it was the asymmetric bars is the other word for the uneven bars. On to our movies. First off, we had Shrek. Then we had Scarface. And finally, we had Saw. 3 points available there. On to the paraphrased animals. We had chinchilla, a bison, antelope, chicken, lobster, and boar. That is 6 points available for chinchilla, bison, antelope, chicken, lobster, and boar. Question 16, the country formerly known as Upper Volta was Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso for the point there. The missing vowels, movie amalgamations. We had Some Like It Hot Fuzz. Then we had All About Event Horizon. All About Event? No idea what that was. Anyway, fine. All About Event Horizon. Then we had Singing in the Rain Man. And finally we had Krakatoa East of Javatar. 4 points for Some Like It Hot Fuzz, All About Event Horizon, Singing in the Rain Man, and Krakatoa East of Javatar. Question 18. What I is defined as variants of the same a particular chemical element that differ in neutron number. They are isotopes of an element. Isotopes there. On to the 6 things that start with the CAS. Quizcazoatl, Kashmir, that is the Kashmir goat, the Casio watch, the Caspian Sea, Casablanca, there for the film, and finally castanets. Quizcazoatl, Kashmir, Casio, Caspian Sea, Casablanca, and castanets for a total of 6 points available. Finally, Eleanor of Aquitaine was married to which lucky boy? That was Henry II. Henry II for the point. On into the wipeout round. For the end of another slightly overrunning quiz. Thought we were doing well at some point. In which city was Martin Luther King Jr. assassinated? For the question 17, I'm not going to give any half points for getting only one of the films. I think I'm going to ask for both films for the point there, I'm afraid. So, the wipeout questions. In which city was Martin Luther King Jr. assassinated? That was Memphis. Memphis is the answer. At least someone who regretted walking in Memphis. Question 2. What is the surname of the famous advertising brothers, Charles and Maurice? They're not the Bee Gees. That is Saatchi. Saatchi for the point. What is the capital city of Pakistan? It is not an observation on the national religion, but it is Islamabad. Islamabad for the point. Who starred as Gertie, Elliot's sister, or co-starred anyway, as Gertie, Elliot's sister, in the 1982 film E.T. the Extraterrestrial? It is Drew Barrymore. Drew Barrymore for a point. What's the term for a boulder that appears out of place in the landscape after being left there by a glacier? That is an erratic boulder. And finally, which French supermarket chain has a name that means crossroads? That was Carrefour. Carrefour for the point there. And that is the end of this week's quiz. Let's see, I have another question about Krakatoa. If anyone did put Krakatoa east of Javita Peron, I would accept that for the point. I'm afraid Java Peron was, of course, the maiden name of that particular island before its corpse was taken to the back of the cinema screen in Milan. So I hope that clears that one up. Now, while my scoring system just takes a moment to update itself, it gives me, as ever, an opportunity to invite you to donate to our Quizcazoatl Publess Pub Quiz in-house charity, which is the London Food Bank. And remind you, in case you're wondering, if you do enjoy Baz's piano pieces that I play in the second round, I have been showing the link for his own fundraising page at the bottom of the plinth there. Anyway, we do have a Just Giving page, justgiving.com/Quizcazoatl. The COVID recession continues, so I know that any contributions you can make either to our food bank or your local food bank, or especially given recent events, if anyone would like instead this week to make a contribution to support people in Beirut, I would certainly think that would be an excellent cause as well. So thank you all for your generosity. Our ticker keeps on ticking up, and it means a lot to us, and as I say, I'm sure is much appreciated by everyone who is able to eat a little bit more than they otherwise would, and you can't say fairer than that. So let's see, have our answers filtered through? So it looks like, have we had 2 wipeouts? If so, then I think I know where we stand. So we've had 1 wipeout, and what else am I missing? So I haven't had any marks in on Team 3 yet for the wipeout round. So let's see, I'll just add those in. There we are, 4 points for the Midway Kings for the wipeout, I think. And we also have news in from the Midway Kings. They have scored 37.5 on round 2. So with all of that information, I think I can go and tell you where everyone stands. So, let's see. So it looks like in a bold 7th place, given their severely reduced numbers, we have the knocked down haircut singular on 77.5. The Midway Kings, with their self-marked round 2, come in at 83.5 for 6th place. We then have it pretty close between 3rd, 4th and 5th. Sounds a bit hippie to me. I'm afraid you guys wiped out. Could have been a little further ahead if you hadn't, but 93.5 there. And then the Footlins up on 94. And then the top 3 teams, all with a full 8 points on the wipeout round. Meet the Parents on 95. But storming ahead of the pack, the World Health Organization and Panic at the Tesco Express. Well, I'm afraid that despite the best efforts of the World Health Organization to mark down Panic at the Tesco Express at every chance they got, Panic at the Tesco have 106, World Health Organization have 103.5. That means that Panic at the Tesco Express are, again, our winners for the week. All it leaves me to say is thank you as ever so much for joining us. We will be back same bat time, same bat channel next week. Do continue to stay alert. This whole COVID thing isn't over yet by a long chalk. So I shall continue hoping not to have to announce that anyone on the quiz has become terribly ill. Nobody wants to hear any of that news. So wear your face masks. Don't sneeze in anyone's face, and